Hi.
Hi.
My name is
Forino.
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 Forino. And I shall be reading out an essay I wrote on memes.
Memes, featuring the pepe wojak dichotomy in 4chan identity.
The documentary TFW No GF.
And incels.
Incels.
As human culture and technology evolve,
as does the expression of comedy, mirroring the society along with it.
Within the post-BC area, D.D. Clark 1999, comedy is accelerating at an incredible pace.
Prominently with memes taking its form.
Meme, first introduced by Richard Dawkins, describes the flow and flux of culture by copying or imitation from person to person.
Its realization can vary from popular tunes, catchphrases, fashion trends, agricultural styles, ways of doing things, and so on. While this term was conceived long before the post.com burst, since 2005 it was re-territorialized. Deleuze and Guattari, 1980. Not my words. By internet users who invoke it to describe their mundane cultural activities. In addition to Dawkins' definition, I'd like to add Hito Steyerl's Pure Image, 2018, which complements the memes of today, being mutable from constant uploading, downloading, editing, and then re-uploading ad infinitum. Furthermore, online users are in a position to participate, providing the largest catalyst for a new type of meme. Customizable memes. Important to note, a meme is not a meme until someone replicates it by passing it on to someone else. Not posted randomly, but addressing a specific group directly, tied to the values, beliefs, and practices of that group. Nissenbaum and Schiffman, 2015. In this essay, I shall explore how the 4chan tribe uses memes to contribute to its hive mind ideology, birthing a new stereotype of digital and physical self-harm. 4chan meme identity.
Recently, internet memes have been added to the long list of visual media that we consume on a daily basis.
Recognizing this, a growing number of academic research, e.g. Burgess 2008, Noble and Lancashire 2007, Milner 2012, Miltner 2014, Schiffman 2014, consequently strives to decipher the unique qualities as well as the social and cultural implications of internet memes.
Though, to my disappointment, they fail to distinguish 4chan as a founding father to be delved into on its own.
Controversially, all of the aforementioned academics are
boomers, entirely disconnected from understanding this phenomenon, them being a digital immigrant.
I, as a digital native, IBID, must have been 7 or 8 when I first clicked on 4chan in 2007. The most influential hub for memes and their reproduction. An anonymous image board site where internet memes constitute an important facet of 4chan, serving as an integral part of many discussions since 2003. Thankfully,
Thankfully, at that age, I was lawful to immediately exist as the warning pop-up tells me to seize one figure 1.
Figure 1. Trump, Pip.
Trump, PP, and not continue if under the age of 18.
As the warning pop-up tells me to seize one figure 1, Trump Pepe, and not continue if under the age of 18.
exit as the warning pop-up tells me to cease, not to continue if under the age of 18.
But admittedly, I ignored it when it came to being 14. Returning to witness meme history in the making till present day. Behind the site's gore, pornography, genocide, racism, self-hatred, suicide, and violence is a postmodern art exhibit. Kenneth Brown, 2020. Currently increasing normalization of the site's visibility in mainstream culture. Duality of identity, memetics, political pape.
4chan's peak existed roughly between 2006 and 2016, with the climax of 2016 when their meme idol, Peep the Frog, gained major media attention for having triggered then presidential candidate Hillary Clinton, who branded it as a signature image of the alt-right and white supremacist movements. Earlier that year, Trump himself had retweeted a Peep portrait of himself, reinforcing a critical change of memes, from simply being strands of populist discourse, Milner, 2012,
to now being stitched together into a calcified, weaponized political ideology, McLeod and Zimdor, 2020. It's at this point no one can deny that fringe internet culture and communities
have the potential for producing actual significant repercussions in real life. Another iconic moment of Pepe history is in Hong Kong, 2019, where Pepe is used as a symbol of resistance against an authoritarian state, highlighting the way memes can have a different meaning for certain people and even at a particular time.
4chan users find themselves feeling the same dumbfoundedness as the creator, Matt Fury, back in 2005, when his comic book character Pepe suddenly became the internet's in 2008.
Internet cynicism is nothing new with Pepe posting. It holds the same content, McLuhan, 1964, as the troll face before it, which, furthermore, has the content of Rickrolling before that. All these three holding the same trickster, cynical essence that has been permeating the internet for decades and will continue. Trolling increased the moment the internet became populated with non-technologically minded people,
i.e. digital immigrants. Mark Pinsey, 2001.
Trolls work to remind the masses that lapped onto the shores of the internet that there is a class of geek who, as their name suggests, will cause internet grief, hell, misery. Angela Nagal, 2017.
It's about winning the space for themselves, the truly deserved. They have a hatred of a clueless girl with mainstream tastes trying to infiltrate a geeky subculture, who fails to use the correct markers of belonging, such as correct slang and depth of elite knowledge, i.e. its memes, IBID. This hatred of the clueless girl is a point to come back to when explaining incels.
As of 2020, Pepe, unlike most memes, continues to live and be the NPC wojak memed on throughout mutations, yet still retaining the meme's smugful essence.
However, the 4chan identity is no longer represented by the prideful Pepe alone. A duality is introduced.
Wistful Wojak, first created in 2010, Wojak is a symbolically striking contrast from Pepe the Frog, with similar accessible ease of mutations of its image. On the other hand, Wojak is kept within the 4chan community, perhaps due to its sensitive portrayal of the community. Only an offshoot, mutated sub-Wojak, known as the NPC, became viral as it was graffitied onto a billboard of a Hollywood real-time TV host, Bill Maher,
in 2019. This sub-Wojak is another right-wing symbol to criticize and dehumanize the left's SGWS, amounting them to non-player characters from video games with no internality,
capacity for critical thought, adopting the same worldview automatically. A robot essentially.
The NPC further reflects the lack of empathy for everyone outside of the 4chan.
The NPC further reflects the lack of empathy for everyone outside of the 4chan community and winning the space for themselves. Angela Nagal, 2017. Whereas Pepe
was commonly seen with the stock caption, "Feels good man," a connotation of boosting, wojak is "that feels man," used generally to express loneliness. Recently, in April 2020, this new 4chan representative has seeped into mainstream attention with a documentary based entirely on wojak titled 2FW No GF.
Summarise the dichotomy. Cantbot, a pseudo-intellectual in the aforementioned documentary above, says the Pepe
is like your troll self, your public persona. You being cocky, saying all this crazy shit, being smug, ironic, getting under people's skin, and being cool about it. But on the other half, we all have a wojak, which is likely our private self, who is not like that at all. He is very depressed, feeling inadequate, can't fulfill his own goals, who has all these feelings he cannot manage. This was what social media is, helping to create a fragmentation of our personalities. So when you're online trolling, being a pepe, but really inside you are the wojak no one really knows about.
TFW no GF. The caption TFW no GF is used online to describe a lack of romantic companionship.
That feel when no girlfriend. Notice its mutation from the "that feel man" caption. Since then, it has evolved to symbolise a greater state of existence defined by isolation, rejection, and alienation. Wojak serves as a mascot to a vast online community consisting of self-described hyper-anonymous 20-somethings and guys who slip between the cracks, stereotyped as incels.
From the first 5-minute introduction, it was clear how misunderstood this documentary was going to be. Janet Pearson, the director of film at SXSW, gives a brief introduction at the beginning of the film. And after talking about how deeply she relates to it, she concludes by saying, "Enjoy TWF no GF." That mix-up is emblematic of the problems with this film, with potential to explore the sociology of isolated people that grow up in the internet feels instead, incredibly, 3-figure 3, wojak Pepe duality superficial, failing to mention the toxicity and violence that legitimately come from these communities. But rather, Alex Lee Moyer, the director, upholds a bias in her portrayal of these incels in the documentary, whereas Angela Najila, author of Kill All Normies, dismissed 4chan culture as purely transgressive, devoid of any deeper reflection of trends in youth values. As I write this, a news story hit on the 19th of May 2020, bringing to my attention the media as another perspective that sheds light on how others perceive 4chan users, specifically the incels that come out of it.
Inceldom. Incel is a portmanteau of involuntary celibate. This subculture is primarily exemplified by the disaffected young white men on these image boards. Many of them are NEETs, not in education or employment. To my conjecture, the reason for the NPC to have mutated into existence.
Live with their parents and are extremely misogynistic. They're angry at feminism and thinks it leads to the decline of civilization, since women should be here to serve men. Women will either trick them into raising children that aren't theirs, get them pregnant intentionally in order to trap them, or falsely accuse them of rape. Angela Najila, 2017. Their idea of a girlfriend is a mix between maid and prostitute, because that's what it traditionally was for thousands of years.
Incel psychology is with underlying masochistic nihilism, seen in Wojak's Doomer off-branch, essentially basing an identity over not getting laid.
Taken to the extreme, Roger Eliot's murder spree in Isla Vista is a climax of what incels can come to. This tragedy gave Eliot cult status with some of the men on these sites, and then others followed. Back in February 2020, a 17-year-old boy killed a woman in...
Back Back in February 2020, a 17-year-old boy killed a woman in Canada, as to what the media are now, May 19, 2020, labelling the charges as incel terrorism. It is presented to us as a fanaticism described as an ideology, though it feels like a fanatically pushed media narrative itself. A radically different perspective of dealing with this phenomena from what Moyle was doing in the documentary, and from what Angela Nigelia in her book completely dismissed.
It's a cliche at this point to say that increased connectivity has actually driven us further apart, but there's more than an element of truth to it. In absence of religion, family and friends, these isolated individuals completely disconnected from reality
start to get into ideologies, becoming fanatical about them. Kenneth Brown, 2020.
Politically, this is not only on the right. On the left, they start to say things like, maybe I was born in the wrong body.
Becoming fanatical about that.
The radical left 4 and the alt-right are both scrambling for an identity through group association, wherein it's important to be exclusionary in order to maintain the integrity of the group, and therefore, the self.
But the self is on shaky ground if it just exists by association.
The use of memes in their hive, whether right or left, infects their worldview when they are browsing their group's memes, slowly internalising this cruel and distorted way of looking at the self and others, conditioning mental habits that will make it difficult for them to live a happy life. A form of what psychologists are calling
digital self-harm.
Conclusion.
Memes are intended for repeated use by mass audiences, and as a result, they've become a tool for preserving an idea through replication within affinity spaces, G2004. For 10 years, the abrasive peep, alongside with the wistful-looking wojak, have remained being memed, forming a dichotomy between cynicism and nihilism that permeates within the identity of young male of my generation. The anonymity in the internet conditions a Dionysian identity. To end on the same optimistic note as the documentary,
we all know that the film meme offers a hopeful glimpse of community building.
Demonstrating how groups can deploy images to address some knowable, perceptible facet of their identity in order to show support for each other. The dichotomy of the two memes functions as a synecdoche, a visual phrase used to represent a larger whole. In this case, it mimetically refers to the pleasure and pain that comes from being connected online.